Let's go down to Kokomo.
Day 27, Wednesday, the 11th of November. Cozumel, Mexico. Yesterday's training was fire safety. It didn't get off to a great start when I was reluctant to join the other 15 members of the group in a petite crew elevator to ride up the 9 floors to the helicopter pad. I am definitely not a fan of small confined spaces, especially when it's in close proximity to lots of other people, but knew what was to follow would be way worse, so manned up and squeezed in next to the others. Having already dropped anchor in Grand Cayman an hour earlier at 7:30 a.m, the sun was overpowering with no breeze to cool us as we stepped out into the daylight on top deck. First challenge passed at least. Having collected the gear we were to wear, we decamped to the kids zone, which was thankfully fully clear of any yappy youngsters. I ended up in the first batch of trainee firefighters. Having been used as the mannequin to display the kit in class the other day, I wasn't too fussed about this. That was until we put the masks on and found out they'd been covered in thick red tape, effectively blindfolding us. Now, if I'd felt warm in the class the other day, this was nothing compared to the panic-stricken inferno that I could feel building inside me now. It was 30-something degrees outside, and we were wearing a full firefighter's uniform, including flame-retardant suit, wool hood, oxygen tank, helmet and gloves. By the time we'd had our breathing apparatus connected, the terror was unmanageable. I was soaked in sweat and desperate to escape my hot, windowless prison. I'm usually cool and calm in most situations and count myself as rational, but I can't describe the fear of being trapped with the blacked-out mask feeling like it was suffocating me in the intense heat. I was second in the group of 5 to get my equipment fitted, and while the real fire crew were assisting the 3 people behind me, I started desperately clawing at my mask with my thickly gloved digits, trying to free myself for a few seconds. I took a few deep breaths, composed myself and redressed, ready to try again after a few reassuring words from Edgar from the Philippines, one of our instructors. I tried really hard to focus on breathing slowly and not freaking out. Strangely, closing my eyes helped me to zone out and quell the panic as the 5 of us felt our way round the little course that we couldn't see in front of us. The whole thing only lasted 5 minutes, but it felt like 50, and I was hugely relieved when it was over. It really took a huge amount of mind over matter to stop myself freaking out, and it shocked me how terrified I'd felt. After watching the others complete their ordeal, it was off to wrestle with the fire hoses on the mooring platform on deck 5. We had fun spraying water off the back of the ship, whilst learning the correct techniques to use the powerful jets as a team. They sure are effective, but also hard to control, and require a lot of strength to stop them breaking free and covering everything in the vicinity in feet of water. Next stop was a trip to the bridge, home of all the important people on board, like the captain, navigator and watch officers. It was really interesting seeing all the special equipment and steering mechanisms, etc. I also got to check out their view of the crew pool a few decks below. They gladly informed me that yes, they can see everything and had watched me in the pool the other day. Oh great, way to stay under the radar. As we were anchored in the Cayman Islands, it meant having to use tender boats to reach shore. We had an early departure time, so final crew back on board time was set at 2 p.m. With speciality dealing with people with disabilities training following straight on from the morning session, I wasn't free until just before 1 p.m. I ran straight to my cabin, threw on my bikini, and made my way to the gangplank, where there was a small boat ready to take me to shore. With a strict warning from the Nepalese security team to be back by 2, I was off and skimming over the water for a short trip to land. I disembarked the little craft and rushed straight out of the mini port, round the corner and leapt into the sea at a small jetty area. It was so nice to be outside and in the ocean again. I swam for about 20 minutes, dodging little boats that were ferrying people to and from snorkeling and scuba diving expeditions. Not wanting to be late back, I climbed out of the sea and hurriedly dressed again, soaking my shorts and t-shirt, as in my urgency to get to land, I'd omitted to bring a towel. A quick sprint back to the port, and I was in a queue and back on a tender moments later. All in all, I'd spent less than 5 minutes actually in Georgetown. Less time than I'd had to endure the hell of firefighting training. But it was worth it, as I felt totally refreshed after my dip in the ocean. I arrived back with time to spare before the deadline and took a shower to wash off all the salt before going to work. As it was Andrea's birthday, a little soiree in our cabin had been organised. As soon as we'd finished work, a small group of us headed up to the Spinnaker Lounge, a passenger bar, where we're allowed to enjoy a drink if we're dressed appropriately. It was really nice to be somewhere new, and it felt very civilised and sophisticated compared to the dingy crew bar. With all the guests mostly in bed already, we practically had the place to ourselves. Not wanting to keep the bar staff from their beds, we soon went back down to our cabin and had a small celebration with a few of our casino workers before tiredness took over and we all went to sleep. I got up at 7 a.m, mistakenly thinking I had heavy lifting training. Turns out that's tomorrow. But at least I got to go back to bed for a few hours before norovirus training. Norovirus training, of course, is very important, but learning about vomit and fecal matter directly before lunch perhaps wasn't the best timing. With first aid training scheduled for straight after lunch, great more sick, I didn't have time to go and explore today's stop in Cozumel, Mexico. I'm not too fussed about missing this port though, as we've nearly finished our repositioning cruise, and Cozumel is one of the places on our itinerary for the winter, so I'll be back weekly from now on. Tomorrow is another sea day, before we finally reach New Orleans, our new home port. And that's all for day 27. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in to day 28's antics tomorrow. Same time, same place. Well, not literally, because this ship never stops. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss a day. And if you're enjoying it, like and share it too. Thank you!